his show, he invited me to spend some time with him, which is fantastic because he's just a rock star in the areas he works in, and he's very diverse, very diverse. So check him out. Check out his TikToks. I came across him several months ago. Didn't know him. Came across him several months ago, and I was really struck by the way he talks about building your own life and giving to other people. On Thursday nights on Zoom, we have a free series all the time. Every week we have a free series on Zoom, giving to other people. On Thursday nights on Zoom, we have a free series all the time. Every week we have a free series on Zoom about how your brain actually works and all these things. So I'm going to wait 2 minutes, then we'll get going. It's really David's show today, so I'm excited, a little nervous. He's a rock star, so if I sound a little nervous, it's because I am. By the way, for most of you haven't seen me. I'm used to being behind the camera as I train the Navy SEAL candidates, Navy SEAL and Special Warfare candidates, and we go live every Tuesday night and every Sunday morning. So that's why you're used to seeing my TikToks with all the military folks. I also teach leadership biomechanics, how your brain actually works, how to develop positivity, how to develop confidence, right? Confidence is not just something that happens. You develop confidence. You develop it. So anybody here, if you ever felt lacking in confidence, low on self-esteem, that's okay. We develop it. So, and now I'm hearing about Chop a lot. So is Chop a dog on GTA 5? Is that where Chop is, right? Because we train just below the pier that you see on GTA 5. So we hear thousands of references to GTA 5 every week. Never played the game, but now I love it. I'll keep looking for it. Yeah, those are both my dogs, one on the left, one on the right. One passed away a few months ago, the one on my left, just over what I'm pointing at right now. That's Maxim, really amazing. So now we should see right about 8:30. Let's see if we can connect with Mr. David Meltzer, and then add that. Hold on 1 second. Let's see if we can connect with David Meltzer, and then we're gonna let him lead off. This is his show. We're adding in. There he is, right there.
Hey, Coach Mac, what's going on?
Hey, David.
Hey, you're about as smooth as I am on here, so I have no idea sometimes when someone's coming on.
Or that I'm having an issue. Let me just get rid of this.
Go ahead, David. Perfect. I was saying you and I share the same experience here on TikTok, trying to figure out whether we're on or not, and but we're getting it. And number one, I want to thank you for your service, but I'm always so excited to talk to a Navy SEAL. I grew up in San Diego, so I've been surrounded by some of the greatest mindset, heart set, and hand set people in the world. In fact, a lot of the things that I've learned have come from experiences with the Navy, from Navy SEAL programs that they have in San Diego to the leadership program. There's an executive leadership program with the Navy as well in San Diego, and I've been blessed to be around you guys for forever. And you are the CEO of the National Director of Direct Action Inc. And would love to understand the importance of taking action and how you've incorporated this now into a corporate experience, into a corporation itself.
Great. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me. I'm familiar with those programs you're talking about, and they're fantastic. I probably learn so much every day that I realize how little I've always known. And how I always say I won't live long enough to know that much. So I just keep going. So direct action, it's a big umbrella. I came into this as a Navy SEAL some years ago, and I started traveling around the world working with folks. I speak one language, so I learned to really watch people because I didn't speak their language, and we didn't have TikTok. We didn't have computers and cell phones. But I really started looking around, and my work has always been in violence prevention and response. But the older I get, the more I started realizing there's so much work to do in prevention. I really loved the work you do, and I talk about that. So I started to develop a series of understanding brain chemistry. Why is everyone right? Everybody's so convinced they're right, but they actually are. When I started looking at it from that perception, So direct action became what's not being done. You know, if you go to an airport and you go to the bookstore in an airport, it is so full of such great material. I should be a rock star every time I take a flight anywhere, right? We should be done. We should be done. I should know all about business. I watch your TikToks up here, and every single time I think, you know, why is that so hard to integrate? Because it's such a simple concept, right? You talk about having to create and get to be able to give, right? That's the most amazing brain chemistry concept there. So direct action really was, what can I do to fill the gaps, not reinvent the wheel? I've done a tremendous amount of really extreme domestic violence work and prevention, stalking, sexual abuse, harassment, and of course, I run the Team Eagle One, so I train the Navy SEAL candidates. We have the highest success rate in the country, and there's only one reason for it: is I have this relentless pursuit of what does it take to actually be successful, and what does our brain have to do to get there? What is the next logical step? Which is I can listen to you talk and think, okay, I have to figure out what the next logical step is, because what you're saying might sound simple, but to my brain, it's 52 steps away. And so I have to figure the next logical step to get there.
You know, it's amazing because I obviously teach a lot about gratitude, because gratitude's so closely tied to perception, to mindset, heart set, and handset. And, you know, it's funny because there is only one common denominator between happy people. There's only one thing it's not rich or poor, sick or well, taller or short, skinny or fat, tan or not tan. None of those have a factor in being happy. It's only gratitude.
Yeah.
You have to have a gracious mindset. You have to have, in order to be happy, you have to have the ability to find the light, the love, and the lesson in your activities, in your action. Because we're only given 24 hours of action a day, sleep being one of them, by the way, which I know is something that you teach as well as a Navy SEAL, how important recovery access is. But more importantly, how do we get people to cohere to the simple, like example, saying thank you before you go to bed and wake up? Everybody's going to agree will change your life. Gratitude's so powerful, takes 0.1 seconds and it's free. But where I see you and what you teach is so interesting is that you get people to cohere, which means remember what you want and do it. The two simple things. If we can get people every day to say, okay, I remember what I want and now I'm going to go do it, like gratitude or whatever else it is, it's amazing what is produced. Like you said, how successful and what prevention happens when we focus in on what we want instead of what we don't want, what's missing, or what other people want for us.
Well, I love what you're saying. What comes to mind is people say to me all the time, "Oh, the Navy SEALs, it's 90% mental." I have never seen that be true. Here's why. Your fight, flight, or freeze system, your limbic system, that's 90% mental. Let me think you into anxiety, depression, chaos, fear. Our brain, the most amazing concept I ever began to understand is that our brain is hardwired to make us average. Your brain is hardwired to make you average or just less than average, because that's smart. Because if you don't learn more, if we don't have good mentors, we don't have good partners, we don't have good relationships, it would be better for you to be small, sit inside your house, but you also won't build anything. So your brain is hardwired. And once you realize your brain is hardwired to actually be average, it's hardwired to be a little anxious and a little depressed or shut itself down. And you understand that. But your prefrontal cortex, what we keep talking about, when you talk about gratitude, there's one of the big ones, your dopamine, your serotonin, your oxytocin, little tiny behaviors start to train that part of your brain to be unleashed. No one has ever seen the top end of physical, mental, or emotional performance. I used to say we're barely out of the trees. We're not out of the trees. We're still hanging onto the branches up there. That's what we're doing, right? That's unlimited potential you have, but you have to train your brain. You have to train your brain with little tiny behaviors. So I'll throw it out there. What you said was gratitude. And I find for a lot of young minds, gratitude can be tough, get a lot of eye rolling. Let me do this. Let me say this. You see people, all the great speakers, yourself, so many great, educated, super successful speakers, and they'll say, make your bed. They'll say, clean the sink. They'll say, do one thing. We always say, do one thing. Here's what I'll ask you. take 10 seconds to stare at it and notice you did it. So if gratitude is a tough word for you, then notice that you accomplished something. I promise you, you're activating those areas. And pretty soon, if gratitude is a challenging word for you, you will think, oh, yeah, this is what gratitude is. I get it. And then you'll be paying a compliment because you notice something positive. So it's just training. I say it all the time. It's just chemistry. It's just chemistry. We've been given this gift, but our default setting is to trend toward the negative. News, left, right, or center, I don't care what you watch. It's designed to take advantage of that, all those things. But yeah, I love how you've combined creating for yourself and giving back. That is pure brain chemistry of evolving your brain to be unlimited.
It's funny that you talk about brain chemistry, because I think, I'm a faith-based person, not necessarily distinguished by religion, philosophy, or spirituality of any type, but just the fact that I believe there is a source and I'm a resource, meaning there's something bigger than me that loves me more than my mom loves me, or I love my children.
Right.
And I get rewarded. You talked about biochemistry in the mind. I get rewarded every time I do something positive, or put my mindset into something positive, like giving, receiving, witnessing, giving and receiving, all of these things, or exercising. I get what it's called. I call it a dose from God, but or a dose from source.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody knows dose is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. But what few people talk about is the other side of the average that you're talking about, the natural biochemistry of, setting your thermostat with your genetic and energetic inheritance. Because remember, everyone is born into a different basement.
Sure.
But we all are also born into the same potential. So our desire determines our potential, but our genetic and energetic inheritance, our skills and our knowledge will determine our basement. And our basements vary. I use Ryan Leaf as my favorite example. His basement is much higher in football than mine.
Space of possibilities. The space of possibilities
starting
is much
quarterback
greater there, sure. As
but we have the same potential, right? We have the same potential, but his basement was starting in the NFL. That's a pretty damn good basement, but his potential is the same as mine. What we don't talk about is what happens from that negativity, from that averageness, from the mediocrity, which is cortisol. So a lot of people focus cortisol. That's God or source telling you, no, this is not good behavior. We're going to create inflammation, irritation, dis-ease in the system.
Beautiful use. Dis-ease. I love the breakdown. Whenever someone says dis-ease, I think it's so, yes. And because we're designed to be that way, we're designed to actually evolve towards, and sometimes I'll be working with groups and they'll have a hard time with the concept of spiritual. I said, let me define it this way. Spiritual has a great mutual benefit. That's when you're activating the parts of your brain. You're a great author, Ramesh Balsekar, I love reading. He said, books don't come from me, they come through me. And I always love that. And that's why you'll hear yourself or some other Mel Robbins or Tony Robbins or Jordan Peterson, they'll all end up saying the same thing in their own way, but they didn't copy each other. You that came through you as well and just filtered through your basement, as you might say. I love it. I love the basement.
That's so good. Yeah. It's interesting because I'll do sometimes for different groups, especially virtually now, a company will pay me to do 3 speeches from this beautiful closet of mine, which I love a lot better than traveling out to Brazil or somewhere.
Or selfishly motivated. My long commute was 14 steps down the hall.
Right. But it's amazing because I'll finish my first one and I got 2 more to go, 30-minute speeches to different groups. And the president of the company or whoever, is in charge is like, okay, do exactly that next time. Like, I want that same speech. And I'm like, I have no effing clue what I said. Because it came through me,
It's so true. I always tell people, look, I might be okay this time and I might suck the next time. I don't know, because it has to be organic and it has to have some give and take. And the internet has made this, our surface area increases, but it gets very challenging because we removed a bit of human interaction. So that give and take is so important. I often say that what your brain actually needs too is you need to express yourself because it creates a space behind it, and that space fills up with evolution. And if I express negative, that space fills up with more negative. When we go, one of the things I like to offer to people is if you just want to train your brain to do something simple, if you want to maximize your prefrontal cortex, find something you like about everyone. And I do this. I came across this like many people did, because when I got into the civilian world, I was really good at four things. And you know what? None of them were requirements in the civilian world. Like I had this list of things I was really great at. No one to shoot today. No one's shooting at me today. Nothing to do. I don't have any guns on. How do you talk to people when you don't have guns on? You know what? What's the world come to? So I would sit in there and be really anxious. So I started walking in, and I always say, find something you like about everyone. So I'll walk in and go, oh, look, I see David on the TikTok all the time, and now he's right in front of me talking to me. You see what happens on my whole face? So now I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking about David, but I'm thinking about him in a positive light. It infects my brain, activates your prefrontal cortex. That's all confidence is. Confidence is going into a new experience, navigating it with as much positive mutual benefit as you can create. And your brain says, you lived. You lived. Let's go do more of that. I survived this meeting with David Meltzer. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I lived.
That's awesome. Last thing, because I have to, show you this because it's so illustrative of the giving and receiving that you've been talking about, and both of us explain in different varying ways. But I see it's so interesting that, my first step of anything is what you just mentioned. When we find what we like about something, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
We expand it. We add value. So now our vessel's bigger. Then what's great is the only way we can acquire the knowledge of that appreciation of what we have is to give it away. And to me, giving away is fine if it's stolen from me, manipulated from me, if I lose it. I don't care. As long as it's not there anymore, because I don't care. What's the difference whether I gave it away or somebody took it from me? I don't care. I now have a bigger vessel, but now we have to ask. Right, we have to ask for more, which also creates that great chemistry in our mind by wishing, hoping, and asking all the same things. If we don't ask for more, we dissipate and dissolve the expanded vessel of appreciation and acknowledgement. And so many people in good intention end up dissipating and dissolving. I see a lot of moms do this. You were talking about, these kids that we protect. And I want to teach people, look, it's not a zero-sum game. There's expanding value. Every time you ask for more, you're just adding to the universe. You're not taking away from anyone. Therefore, you should be more confident in giving it away because there's more to come, and you're helping everybody.
This is something I learned from you. Actually, I got to say this because I've been watching your message. You talked about your mother working so hard, and not a zero-sum game. It was costing her more. In your description, what I got, and because I tend to think of how your brain's working, I grew up, and I still am this way. I'd be a liar to say I've changed much. My default setting is I should be the one that hurts. I'm a military mind. I should be the one that hurts. I'm the one who bleeds the best and gets over it, all these things. And yet, this is something I'm trying to set in more and more in my life from you. I got to the point where I couldn't help more people. I couldn't help more people. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter how enthusiastic I am. I have self-funded a nonprofit for over a decade until this last year when I started to ask people, super uncomfortable for me. I run the most success. We helped over 2,700 young people in early career, military and civilian last year. I paid for almost all of it. And I have a nonprofit. And I always say, what I mean is I have a self-funded program that doesn't charge me taxes. You talked about your mother working so hard, and she said, I have a sign right here in front of me. If you want more, give more. And what happens to your brain when all you do is want more is that our brain becomes almost sociopathic. Your approach says, no, I'm going to keep focusing on giving as well. I will not let that happen to me. I'm expanding my ability. That's all endurance and strength is. So when I first listened to you, I thought, he's taken the one thing that can destroy people and made it the most positive thing ever. Get more, give more, get more, give more, get more, give more, and all of these things. So I could define what you talk about in how much your brain positively responds to it, but you already know that. I wanted to say it for your listeners to say what happens to your brain when you keep looking for mutual benefit and increasing it, what I call improving your position. Improve your position. because that stretches your brain out. That's what strength is. So I love the message you're doing is you don't have to be broken to help people. And in fact, I'm self-limiting because I grew up with that default setting. I will dig harder. I will dig first and I will dig last. And it's what it's done is minimize the amount of people I can help and support. So I listen to you actually every day because I remind myself to do this.
That's awesome. Coach Mac, you hit on something that's so important to me as well, is this idea that it's okay, right? It's okay to receive. And the more we ask, and I always tell people, I have this optimal health system that I'm utilizing. So they examine my blood, dead blood cells and live blood cells. And, I haven't gotten COVID, not afraid of the vaccine. I took the vaccine because nothing's going to put me at disease. And the interesting thing, the doctor, he said, it's extraordinary, your immune system, by looking at my blood. You have this extraordinary immune system. No wonder you never get sick. And he said, it's because of your mental attitude. He said, I said, well, it's genetics. My grandpa's lived to 90. He said, it wouldn't matter because people die young in your family too, beyond. He said, but what you do every day to your biochemistry because of that perception, it changes you from the cells up.
And it's measurable. It's measurable. Your immune system is measurable. Here's the fun fact. Every time you read or post something negative, and doing what we're doing is brutal, because if you ever read your own comments, it's like people want to stab you in the eye over and over again. And you think, wow, there's nothing I'm doing that I think could or would or should hurt anyone in this. In fact, I'm trying to elevate myself and everyone else in a mutual benefit. But your IQ drops up to 30 points every time you post something negative or you say something negative. So that means, remember, it started here in your head, your IQ. So I say sometimes I'm texting, and if I get heated, and I'll say it out loud, I'm getting stupider and stupider because I feel it. And you'll know you're doing it because you'll say, you always do this. You never do this. I'm never going to get this. They have it easier than me. They don't. So you're right. It's measurable. It's measurable in your IQ. It's measurable in your white blood cell count. And it's measurable right now. Right now.
I love that.
Anyone who listened here and smiled a little bit, your immune system just came up and your IQ became more available to you. And then to your point, it is now capable of your intelligence and your intellect, your spirituality. Spirituality is just mutual benefit. We don't have to get freaked out by the term. If we're benefiting each other, that is the teammate next to me is always more important than me. So I love what you've been doing. You really flattered me with the invite today because
we'll do more, and anything I can do for your nonprofit to help you receive more so you can get more
self-funded.
Let's do more. Let's do more though, Coach Mac, man. You get it. I want to learn more from you as well. Thank you for elevating others to elevate yourself, celebrating others, and making the energetic shift of, pain is only an indicator for you that you have a better place to be. It's not a self-masochistic thing that, we're being punished with pain. We're being promoted and protected, especially if we can learn the lesson from it and it reduce and dissipate itself. Coach Mac, you're incredible. Where can people reach you? Where can they support you?
Well, I tell you what, and folks, I answer every email. I'm working stiff, so it can take me a minute, but directaction.us, send me an email, ask any questions. We're on TikTok quite often. I answer every single email because honestly, and I don't just mean this, you matter. You matter. And when you realize how you matter, you're going to help someone else matter. There's never been an opportunity like this because there's never been so much. Remember, the more negative your life has been, you've been priming an 8-cylinder motor. Once you learn how to turn that into your prefrontal cortex use, you're a rock star. You're a rock star. So if you've been running around anxious, depressed, any of this stuff, so directaction.us, send me an email. I respond to everybody. We have some of the most advanced female military training programs because their success rate is 0 in tier 1 programs, and we're changing that, all that stuff. So whatever you have for questions, throw them out there. I'll get to you. I'll get to you for sure. I won't ignore you.
Thank you, Coach Mac. Be kind to your future self. We'll see
awesome.
You soon.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're amazing. Thank you.
All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I know it's early for a lot of people, late for a lot of other people.
That was David Meltzer. Really interesting guy. Really interesting guy. If you heard me, I said I kind of grew up with this whole I should be digging a ditch harder. I should be the one hurting more. I should be the one doing without. It's a very military mindset, but you get to the point where you can't help more people. David developed systems to help people create their business, create their wealth, and be able to give back, employ more people, help more foundations, do all these things. He's honestly, I love listening to him because I have a really firm default setting of that message, and it's nice. He talks about how his mother was this hardest working person. She was always giving to other people. She was always exhausted and beat. See what happened? She couldn't give to more people because she didn't have the energy. So his whole thing was, I'm going to create for myself so I can keep giving without having it squish me and ruin me. So really interesting.